If a movie makes you not want to have sex, then you know it left an impact on you. It Follows is a brand new independent horror movie. It's not really out anywhere, but luckily it was filmed in Michigan, so it's mostly around here, so I got to see it. And oh man, am I excited to talk about this. This movie probably has one of the most clever horror plots that I've seen in a very long time. Now, It follows a girl who is played by Maika Monroe. You may have known her from The Guest, which is also a very underrated movie. If you haven't seen that one, go watch that one. And she has just gotten into a relationship with this guy, played by Jake Weary, and they have sex. And after he has sex with her, he chloroforms her, knocks her unconscious, and then she wakes up in some sort of alley, and he basically tells her, yeah, since I've had sex with you, this thing is going to follow you. And if it gets you, then it keeps getting back to me, and then it'll go back to wherever it was that it started. The only thing that you can do is pass it along to someone else, and it won't keep going after you. And man, is this a scary plot. Now, I had mostly heard about this movie because I am very familiar with the director of this movie, David Robert Mitchell, who directed this awesome coming-of-age drama, The Myth of the American Sleepover, that came out a few years back. It's on Netflix. If you have a Netflix account, I definitely recommend watching it. And oh man, this is definitely better than Myth of the American Sleepover. This was probably one of the best horror films that I've seen in over the last 10 years. I absolutely loved It Follows. It was definitely what horror is about, which so many Hollywood movie makers have forgotten nowadays. Shockingly, there was good acting in this movie. Maika Monroe, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I'm sorry, but she was very, very good in this movie. She definitely was a believable main character. You wanted to follow her the entire movie. You were focused on her. You wanted her to survive. You wanted her to be safe. And so that's what you want out of a main character for a horror movie, because with most, you don't give a shit about them. And the rest of the supporting cast, who I can't remember most of their names. I know the guy was in It's Kind of a Funny Story. He was really good, and the other people were pretty good as well, except for one, which I'll kind of get into later. It's not that big a deal. And I think a big reason why I love this movie so much, because finally we get a good horror movie! 2014 was a great year for movies, but there was not any good horror movies besides The Babadook. A lot of people seem to think that the horror genre is dying, and I sort of agree, because there haven't been as many great horror movies. There's always that one special movie that comes out once a year, and luckily, It Follows was the one for 2015. I honestly don't see any other horror film topping It Follows this year, or possibly in the next 2 or 3. This movie was very, very creepy, and it kept me on the edge of my seat, and I was terrified while watching this movie, which is very rare for me for a movie, especially an independent movie that was only made for probably less than $1 million, I think. David Robert Mitchell is a man who knows how to make a good movie and doesn't have to spend too much money. The Myth of the American Sleepover, I think, only had like $2,000 of a budget, and that was a great coming-of-age movie, and definitely better than many other movies that come out in theaters recently. And It Follows is no other exception. This movie definitely should get a better cult following. It has gotten a lot more popularity, and I'm really happy for that. Definitely, if you've seen this movie, spread the word. Post it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just get this movie a following, because this is a movie that needs to be put in every single movie theater around the country, so people can actually see what the horror genre is really about. Not some stupid crap like Ouija and Annabelle and all the other piece of crap horror movies that have come out over the 2000s. This movie scared me, and not because it had the stupid cliche jump scares. It brought you suspense. It made you terrified. And when this certain thing was following the main character, it was creepy. And also the thing is though, small little spoiler, they can change into any other human. It could be someone that they know, or it could just be someone that they don't even know, and they're really, really creepy. Especially this one certain person who I'm not going to describe, but you can probably guess it after you see the movie. And the score was absolutely horrifying. I blast that shit on iTunes right before I get up for school. It gets me pumped. And David Robert Mitchell wrote and directed this movie so well. He is such a talented writer and director. And I really, really want him to get more movies after this. He needs to get a big budget, because if he can do such good movies with just like over like probably $100,000 this movie could have possibly been paid for, if he makes a movie with $1 million, he can make an instant classic. Not that It Follows was, in my opinion. It Follows can be a new horror classic, and it definitely should be more of a cult following, kind of like with Evil Dead. Actually, It Follows is this generation's Evil Dead. It's got all the same facts. Filmed in Michigan, unknown director, and a great cast, and a great story, and scared the shit out of everybody. There you go. The only flaws I can think of with this movie, there's not that much. Sometimes I thought some camera work I thought could have been worked a little bit better, but then again it was an independent movie so you can understand. And there was this one certain character, not that she didn't do a good acting job, I just didn't think that character was extremely important in many scenes with her. I just thought could have been cut out of the whole movie together. Because one certain scene with her, I feel like it just could have just been erased and the movie would have been shorter. But that pacing was not an issue at all for this movie. This movie was brilliantly paced. And if there's any other moments that happened like right afterward, I'm like, okay, good. There's more for this movie. Because I was having such a fun time with this movie that I did not want it to end. Overall, It Follows is a fantastic horror movie. If it's anywhere around you, go see it. Spread this movie on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere, any social media. Make this movie known. Make this movie famous. Get this movie everywhere. I am serious. David Robert Mitchell deserves to get this movie out in the open because The Myth of American Sleepover didn't as much, and I was really disappointed. If you want to know more information about it, I'll put a link to the website and David Robert Mitchell's IMDb page in the description. Check him out. I'm going to be giving It Follows an A. I absolutely love this movie. Just a couple of minor issues, but it really doesn't matter. This is the closest to perfect that horror can get. That was my review of It Follows, guys, and I really hope you enjoyed it. And I'm Lucas Stringer. I'll see you guys later.